All right. What's up, all you indigenous people? It's your indigenous brother from another mother, coming to you guys straight from the B&B Indigenous Podcast with my one and only, always my road dog out there west, Mr. Rock and Ron. What's up, Ron?
Another day, another beautiful paradise lived and received in good faith and and harmony. How about yourself, man? How you doing out there?
Not as good as you, man, out there dancing all the time. I got that video of you out there moonwalking.
Did you see that Running Man the other night?
Doing a running man. Maybe they're doing a running man.
I went almost viral.
Dude, it's getting close. We have a great show for everybody tonight. We are back in our studios tonight. We're sorry for the layover. Life gets the best of us. Powwow gets the best of us. So first of all, this is our new show. We're going to be airing every other night. Every 2 weeks, we'll be having a brand new show. We want to be able to come with better content, better availability. And tonight we broadcast our very special guest, not just a guest anymore, a fellow contributor is going to be on with us every night, every podcast. Our new co-host, Miss Kelly Sharpshooter. Kelly, welcome to the show. Back to the show. So much that we bring you back permanently. So, introducing Miss Kelly Sharpshooter. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello everyone. Zandabe, Naniha, Kelly Knight, Dua Naniha, Ohopana, come from you from the Shoshone-Bannock tribe in Creek Nation, and I'm here currently in OKC, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm a mother. I'm a kagu. I'm a grandmother of two, going to be two babies, and I'm a mother of 4 daughters. So definitely matriarch of our family and our family status. And also I'm a Bear Clan member. Our bear is Naguset, Nagus, and we come from the Bear Clan. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm glad to complete our little trifecta. I'm excited, and thank you guys.
We're so happy to have you. Oh, if I misspoke, Fabian, I meant every other week. I'm sorry, every other Monday, starting this Monday. We're going to be on not every other night. We ain't got that kind of information.
Right.
We've noticed that every week we're kind of running out of things and subjects to talk about. We want to be able to give a more fuller show and be able to get better guests on. Doing it every other week allows our guests to have 2 weeks of preparation before we bring them on. So it kind of works out for us a little bit better.
Well, we also want to make sure and let people know that, we're moving into the summer schedule. So it's not necessarily just about content or content creation. I mean, we'll give you a show no matter what, but the honest to goodness truth is that we're moving into summer schedule. We got babies on the way. I know. See, and that's right. You're going to have to clear your schedule for Mondays anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a powwow hangover, a stick game hangover. But I'm telling you what, listen to me. This is where we start moving into the summertime. People got a lot of things going on, especially in the warmer days. I also want to remind you folks, as the temperatures rise, we are dealing with what they're expecting to be the biggest El Nino in like 150 years. And a lot of that might be due to man-made issues, and then some of it might be natural as well. The Mother Earth flexes from time to time, but check on your elders as much as you can. Make sure if you're taking your kids out that they're covered up. The sun is definitely, it's definitely more impactful lately, and keeping hydrated is very important too. Make sure you got a good air conditioning unit going on in the house, unless, of course, they're like my grandma when she was alive. She would say, "It's cold in here, Grandma. It's 100 degrees outside right now." Yeah, she got the heater on full blast.
Oh man, this is powwow season is in full effect right now. I seen that you were out there at a powwow. Ron, what powwow were you out there jamming out at?
3 powwows, and in 2 of them I was dancing. So we went up, because Legends was going on. I was originally going to go over and do the Powwow Television Network stuff over there all weekend, and my bro Justice invited me to go up to Creston, British Columbia, which is cool. Yakanuki, the Lower Kootenays, out that way. They're just north of Bonners Ferry, Idaho, so right across the Medicine Line. They had the SD8 school powwow out there, which is like a 6-hour event. Went out and slang some Cree Smokehouse jerky. If you guys hadn't got your fix yet for Cree Smokehouse jerky, let me tell you what, 12 hours, alder smoke, salt and pepper, and then for those folks that like it hot, you know what I mean? Cayenne pepper, red pepper on sprinkled lovingly across that meat. It is a quality product. I'm just giving my bro a shout out. He made it. It was a really good weekend being able to travel out there. The following day, we actually went down after the powwow got over, got into a room out there in Spokane, and checked in with Pauline Pascal Flett Middle School. They had a powwow, lasted about 7 hours. Went out there and sang maybe 15, 20 songs, I think, on our drum. There were like 5 other drums. Everybody was sounding nice. All those folks that couldn't make it over to the valley there at Legends Powwow, and then of course, in my round bustles, I actually picked up second in the grass dance category, so I'm pretty proud of myself. You're talking about that running man and the moonwalk. I don't know about the moonwalk because I'm not that graceful. I still got truck driver knees. No, but I finally got my second win back, and that was feeling really good. But then finally, after the powwow got over, everybody got their payouts and gas money and, filled up the cars and got the food and everything. Stayed one more night and then made our way out over to pick up the nephew. He was hanging out with his auntie and grandma and family over there. Want to send a special shout out to the Jim family on a recent loss as well too. I'm not going to go into details about it, but we want to send prayers out there, and for everybody who is out there dealing with that stuff, we just want to let you know we're thinking about you tonight. All the powwow family that's been traveling is still traveling. I know Midnight Express came over there and did awesome in the drum contest. Blackstone cleaning house, you know what I'm saying, taking first. Kelly was talking about Indian Hill. That's the bro Spazzing DeWitt family. My little cousin Gary sings with those guys. My cousin Preston. Yeah, those guys are wicked. We actually were jamming with those guys out at Devil's Lake, North Dakota, a couple of years back in the Tim White Eyes Memorial Special, which was awesome, man. They even had it at their Sundance Arbor out there, and the tree. I think the tree was still up. I'm like, whoa. They're cool with the powwow here, huh? It was, because it was more of a memorial thing. But anyway, I'm glad to be here with you guys tonight. I do got some news for you, but if you guys got anything you want to let us know beforehand, so important as well. We were going to have Ruben on. Ruben Littlehead Sr., the man, the myth, the legend. We were not going to have a giveaway tonight. And then, of course, we got stickers. That's right. Littlehead Entertainment. He wants to come on the show, but he, like with a lot of powwow drums and a lot of family out there, especially MCs that are well known, they're busy. He gave me stickers to make sure and give away. So, we're looking for commenters. We're looking for people to, that's right. I mean, we got patented statements right there. You know what I'm saying? But I want to give you guys a heads up. We are giving these away. So you guys be the ones to like, share, subscribe. Make sure and check out our YouTube channel. All of that's good stuff. You guys are going to pick up some nice stickers for the windshield or the bumper. You know what I'm saying?
Windshield. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an Indian thing to cover your windshield and stickers.
The back windshield, though, you could put it on the back windshield. See, look at Vince Mai up in the mix right there. All them voices, man. Those guys, they put on such a wonderful powwow, and that's right.
Not everybody can be an MC. All of us got that identifiable voice that it's powwow time. Those MCs out there that can start talking and just get you in the mood to dance, to laugh. Get you in that mood to want to get out there and jam. Not people think anybody can get up there and just grab the mic and be able to talk. It's got to take a special kind of person to be able to get up there and really rattle off all day long, all weekend long, be able to talk and not just educate, but to make it entertaining, make it fun for the dancers, make everybody feel like they're part of the community. I mean, it's fantastic. Before we move on, I want to give a big shout out to my man Jim Ayers. He reached out to us just recently and let us know what's going on with his tribe out there. 14 more tribal families have been removed off the reservation, forcefully removed. We have done a couple of shows on what's going on out there in his tribal nation, and we're trying to keep everybody up to date what's going on. And we're going to try to get him back on for another show here shortly, give an update of what's going on and how we can help in the community. I think we've done 2 shows so far, and it's been a little while since we did our last show with them. We definitely want to bring them back on and talk about, any updates. How about you down there, Kelly? What's going on in your neck of the woods over there?
Well, I would like to highlight our hometown heroes and also our 2023 graduates across Indian country. Congratulations to all those people who graduated high school and college. Yay, good job, guys. Lulu. Big Lulu. So first off, I'd like to highlight Miss Aubrey Berry, who comes to us from the Kiowa Comanche Chickasaw Seminole Nation. She's graduating from Moore High School with the 4.0 GPA. Woo! She got some smarts on her.
Fire.
Yes. Congratulations, girl. She also committed to run track for Cameron University. And for that school, she is going to make history by being the first Native American woman female hurdler. So another big applause to that, because those are big moves and big stepping stones for all our Native women out there, as well as our Native people, to be making history like that in a university. Also, I wanted to highlight Mr. Dennis Knife Chief, and he is one of our Pawnee Nation, also Skibi Band Pawnee Nation, and he's a graduate from Rose College University. I just barely talked to him, got off the phone, and told him that I was going to highlight him. So I got a little bit more information. He graduates with an associate's in health and sports science. That's his major, and his minoring as a personal trainer. He also is an actor and a model. He also is a promoter for healthy living and lifestyle and being drug-free. He actually was a professional boxer at one time, and so he has continued on into his educational role, and also he is a huge role model with our community, and someone that our young people can look up to, especially our young men. It's so important that they have good role models in our community and in our nation. So big shout out to him. He's doing great. He's going to continue his education. He said he's going for his bachelor's. So proud of this young man. I did meet him over at Rose State College Powwow. Great person, super nice, carrying chairs for elders. That's what it's all about. Be a role model, be all the way around a role model.
That's right.
Absolutely. You know what, Kelly, that brings up, I want to ask you something. I think a good idea here. How would you folks out there like for us to sponsor 2 graduates? Going forward, we will start purchasing blankets for 1 female, 1 male, and give them a highlight. So if you'd like to nominate somebody in your life that is graduating, someone that deserves to be noticed on how hard they're working in school, it doesn't matter the age group. It'll be one female, 1 male, that we will personally give them a highlight and send them a blanket from the B&B Indigenous podcast. So I want to take a poll. If you're interested in highlighting someone tonight that is graduating in your community, female or male, write the B&B Indigenous podcast. Tell us why you think that person should be nominated. And once if they're nominated, they get picked from the hat. They'll be our guests of honor here on the B&B podcast, as well as the blanket be sent out to them to show our appreciation and our love for them working their butts off getting through school.
And I think it's a wonderful idea that, putting out, as far as I'm concerned, I've been saying that for a long time. We need to be as supportive as we can for our Native students, because it doesn't matter if you're working towards getting your high school diploma or you're working on your PhD. We want to make sure that our young people know, You know, even the students that are older, we want them to be successful. That's a very important thing, you know. And because I look at it this way, the only way we're going to be able to tackle all of our native social justice issues is if we are on an equal footing with everybody around the world. That I'm not just saying at a government level, I'm
Right.
saying that as a matter of course for all of the things that we strive to achieve. And education is a stepping stone. It is not the end all be all, because I met people that have never had a day of like curriculum in their entire life that are as wise and as amazing. And you know this within our elder community and even some of our younger folks too. There are voices like our sister Rachel Thunder out there in Minneapolis, you know, East
Yep.
Phillips neighborhood. She's a young woman, but she makes these amazing, you know, strides forward when it comes to native social justice endeavors and saying, hey, we're not going to tolerate the abuse. You know what I'm saying? Which leads me up to the news that we're going to share about one of our students. We want to make sure that we're covering this issue. We were talking about graduates, but it's very important. This article from Native News Online, you guys can check out nativenewsonline.net. This current situation, I can tell you what right now, is something that our people have been seeing for a really long time. Not just are we dealing with issues with our young men wearing their hair long and being teased about their sexual identity or their, you know, their identity as a whole, but it's important that we bring this up. Native American high school graduate sues the school district for forceful removal of a sacred eagle plume at the graduation. This article printed and posted May 16th, 2023. High school graduate Lena Black, an enrolled member of the Oto Missouri tribe and of Osage descendants, filed a lawsuit on May 15th against the Broken Arrow School District for violating her rights to free exercise of religion and freedom of speech. At Black's 2022 high school graduation, school officials attempted to forcefully remove a sacred eagle plume Black wore on her cap. The plume, which she received in a ceremony when she was just 3 years old, was damaged by the attempt. Black said she passed several checkpoints leading up to the ceremony before being approached by a school counselor and security guard who kept trying to take it off of her. Black told the Tulsa World the feather was attached to her mortarboard and that she had been told previously that her feather would be allowed because of its cultural significance. Quote, my eagle plume has been part of my cultural and spiritual practices since I was 3 years old, Black said in a statement. I wore this plume on graduation day in recognition of my academic achievement and to carry the prayers of my Oto, Missouri community with me. The law protects my right to wear this eagle plume at my graduation, and school officials had no authority to forcibly remove it from my cap. The school district declined to comment on the lawsuit. At this time, the school district has not been served with a court filing on behalf of Miss Black. Broken Arrow Schools Public. At this time, the school district is not. I think I'm getting some feedback there. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I'm sure we'll figure it out, right? With a court filing on behalf of Miss Black, Broken Arrow's Public Schools Chief Communications Officer Tara Thompson wrote in an email to Native News Online, quote, as a result, it would be inappropriate to comment publicly as to such a lawsuit. However, Thompson said the school district has a process through which students are approved to wear regalia or other culturally significant items in the graduation ceremony. The process is intended to prevent cultural appropriation and ensure that students remain respectful during the graduation ceremony, she said. Students must fill out an application on the school district's website and submit a photo of the item they request to wear. Native American students submitting a regalia request work with the district's Indian education coordinator to get approval. Students who are not Native American but are requesting to wear items significant to their culture or religion work with their high school principal for approval. According to the lawsuit, the district's Indian education coordinator is on leave until September 2023. At the time of Black's graduation, there was no interim director. Quote, we will hold the Broken Arrow School District accountable for its discriminatory actions. Native American Rights Fund staff attorney Morgan Saunders said in a statement, quote, the Broken Arrow School District violated Miss Black's rights to despite existing laws that should have ensured she was able to wear her eagle plume without incident, end quote. Pipestem law partner Wilson Pipestem added that the lawsuit demonstrates why decisions regarding regalia at graduation ceremonies should not be left up to individual school districts. Quote, without clarity Students will continue to be forced to seek justice in the courts after their rights have been violated and their graduation ceremonies are long since over, end quote, Pipestream said. While traditions vary, many members of many tribal nations wear specific clothing or objects like eagle plumes at graduation ceremonies to signify their academic achievement and in recognition of their spiritual and religious beliefs. Quote, I filed this lawsuit to ensure everyone understands the importance of items like my eagle plume and to prevent schools from targeting Native students. Excuse me, it just keeps moving and refreshing on me here. I want to make sure I'm on it there too. Okay, of course. That prevent targeting Native students like me in the future, Black said. No student should face ignorance and discrimination in their school or their community. The lawsuit and widespread exposure of this incident came in the wake of Oklahoma Governor J. Kevin Stitt's recent veto of Oklahoma Senate Bill 429, which was passed by the state legislature with near unanimous bipartisan support to prohibit discriminatory graduation dress code. The bill would have reaffirmed the rights of Native American students like Black to wear tribal regalia at graduations, a critical protection in the state with the second highest concentration of American Indians. All this and more, if you guys are interested in this article, you can definitely check out nativenewsonline.net.
Yes.
They have a wonderful litany of articles for you to read.
This has been such a big issue it's been extreme. Before I start, I have somebody I want to put out there, a good friend of mine, Keith Cox, somebody I grew up with there in Baltimore, Maryland, an amazing singer. If you don't know Keith, he's sung on just about every drum on the East Coast. Keith has been sat in and talked to. His son graduates the middle school this year. And I want to give a big shout out. Straight A's. He sent me a message. Hey, my boy graduates. Little Keith. We call little Keith because we had Big Keith Cosin out there. So we always called Keith Little Keith. And now he's got a little Keith now. Keith Jr. out there. Big shout out to that young man out there working hard, man. Keith's a good father, a great singer, just a great person amongst the community. So a big shout out to that young man out there. So, but I was saying is, my daughter, luckily for me, I have an understanding community. My daughter graduates this year. Cheyenne, a big shout out to my daughter. She graduates this year. And I approached the school in the beginning of the school year and sat down to school personally and told them what we were and what we expected and how we were expecting to be treated. I didn't have no issues. I think some of this is coming from Natives just springing this on some universities. I had gotten on the board with a lady just recently. Her kid wasn't allowed to wear regalia, but the kid didn't become Native until the end of the year. The family didn't really tell the school that this student was Native and part of their culture to the end of the year till graduation time. Now, that's not an excuse. I'm just saying we also got to tell these schools ahead of time, hey, I have a Native student in the school. My child is Native. He practices culture. He expects to be done this way. Instead of waiting to the end of the year until they graduate. In 4 years, the kid's been there and no one knew they were Native. You've kept it kind of quiet. You've not allowed that kid to show their tribal identity at school and just break it out that way. We have to also, give these schools. And when a school says no, you need to start making this public. Families out there, if a school says no, that your child cannot wear their feathers, make it public. Let's put them on blast. We need to show up at these schools in numbers and say, this is not okay. If a child can wear a cross to school, if they can wear their religious, anything they want to religiously.
The Star of David, it doesn't matter.
No difference.
Well, see, and that's what and Austin is correct. He's a Cherokee member. He's a member of the Cherokee Nation, right? And I mean, Kelly lives in Oklahoma, so I'm sure she's probably extremely aware of all of the incidents that surround all of the tribes. I mean, this was a herding grounds for our people. The Indian Removal Act.
It's really disheartening that this is actually being a huge issue in Oklahoma, being that this is Indian country. This is the Mecca of Indian country. You can't turn a corner without running into somebody that's Native. So I'm like, what is the big deal? Why is Oklahoma so hell-bent on, saying no this, no that, when, man, this whole country is founded on our people. This is our country. Hello.
Do you remember when he was trying to renegotiate the gaming compacts with all of the tribes there?
Mm-hmm.
And that, that was, oh well, the tribes need to pay more. What, to me, and pardon the expression, but that's just him kissing ass to the state government. It's known officially right now that Oklahoma, half of that state, that plenary authority, is in the boundaries with of all of the tribes that were forcefully removed from their ancestral homelands and brought to those places. But also, it's important for people to recognize that the Supreme Court, another plenary authority on our lands, reaffirmed that status with Oklahoma tribes. Half of that state in its entirety is native lands, reservation territory, whatever you want to call it. It's still recognized, and it falls under there's a federal mandate, fee to trust, and then there's a fee responsibility that they use that that makes it so that the federal government has joint responsibility, even though the treaties had protected those rights, traditionally when the relationships began with the United States or the colonial authorities moving on to native lands. They do have a responsibility to uphold their end, which is 50% of all of the monetary requirements that the tribes have. The federal government, in its supposed surplus, is supposed to take care of the other half. That is the Indian trust responsibility through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And that's something we've already passed, the Freedom of Religion Act in 1977. Like I said, that was one of my ceremonial uncles who made that a reality in Oregon State. Why are we still sitting at this place right now where, oh, well, yeah, they don't, we can't allow them to wear their eagle feathers. And as Patrick was saying, if they are able to wear other religious items, it doesn't matter if it's on their person or on their cap, whatever it may be. That's their right, and it's protected already. So this, like our young brother was saying just a minute ago, we should be past this already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should. You know what? It just surprises me we're still going through this. It really does. 2023. All this acknowledgement, and people don't realize what's funny is some natives don't agree with me neither, though. That's what's funny. I just got into a conversation with someone that said, I don't think, okay, all right, I want to say this as in a way that I don't stick my ass in hot water.
Unless you're going to a day spa, maybe.
There's a difference between being native and living native.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize there is a difference between being native and living native.
That's right.
Okay. Oh man, I'm trying to say this aesthetically. I'm trying not to be my old self. And
eloquence. You're saying it eloquently.
So there's a lot of people out there that claim to be native but don't live the native way. They just live native by blood. Because they're related or their moms, whatever, but they don't know nothing about being. There is being native and having native. Mm-hmm. There's a difference. There's being native and having native. You can't, the two don't even go in the same subject. People that live native know the importance of the eagle feather. It shouldn't be, it's not explained to you. You understand. If I'm reaching somebody out there that is, I call them a new native, a person that just found out they're native, or someone just starting to follow the traditions, starting to follow the ways. In the old days, and I say the old days because we don't live by the traditional values we should be living by all the time. So in the old days, the eagle feather was the highest level of respect be given to a person for doing a great deed. Now, in today's modern society, those great deeds we had back then are different than they are now. Back in those days, if you went out and was able to coup stick and knock somebody off their horse, that was a great deed. Someone that sacrificed for their family, that was a warrior, that was a great deed. Our women that fought were warriors. Since we don't have that same thing today, our graduation is that equivalent. Because you got to think of this way, with the level of suicides we have amongst our teens, the level of dropouts we have amongst our teens, you can't get a higher elevation than our kids graduating. We should be shouting right now. We should be screaming their names. They should have more pride. we should be able to shut down a graduation with the women in the stands luluing. There's no native child should be going to graduation with just two parents in the crowd. The entire community just show the hell out for all of our graduates. And that's why our kids don't feel like they have nothing to aspire to, because we no longer make the important things important. We say,
right.
Get a job. That's important. But before we get a job, make getting at least your high school diploma one of the biggest things they do. We should make, we're quick to celebrate birthdays. I think because birthdays were never our thing. Traditionally, Native people didn't celebrate birthdays. You had one birthday the day you were born. We didn't celebrate every year you were born. How about, instead of worried about birthdays, how about we put that same energy, that same love, that same respect into these kids' graduation? Give it something that can really look forward to. I mean, even the eagle feather the value of the eagle feather isn't looked at like it used to be. I mean, you have 5-year-olds with full eagle bustles and full dance sticks and roach feathers, and did nothing yet to be able to earn those things yet. We have young girls 7 years old with full fans, full feathers. The eagle feather doesn't mean what it used to be to everybody. I know we still have some traditionalists out there. Someone's going to say, well, not my family. I understand there's some outliers, and some of my people out there still celebrate the old ways, like myself, like Kelly down there, like Ron over there, that believes in the old ways. But, we have to start bringing those old ways back and start showing the value and make these kids work for these feathers. And that graduation cap, having an eagle feather, is one of the highest levels of respect that we can give. My daughter is losing her mind about graduation because she knows she gets her feathers, and she's able to, because she knows once she graduates, she has the ability now to carry all of her feathers within the circle. She's never been able to do that before.
Well, that's what I want to go, and have Kelly respond to this as well too, because us men are always coming from a patriarchal viewpoint. The compassion means, like, I've noticed that you attract a lot more, flies with certain things, and then you attract a lot more bees with other things. So what do I want to do? And both are vital. Now, I'm not saying that to, I mean, it is funny, but at the same time, it's also important to know both of those creatures have their place, right? They both do their work for the earth. Absolutely. As much as we might appreciate one more than the other because we get the honey from the bees, and the other ones get the other substance that they take away, right? Yes. Now I'm saying that women have that other aspect ratio of understanding. That's where the compassion sense comes from. Not to say that men aren't. I'm just saying, like, that's why I want to say, hey, what's your thoughts on it? You know what I mean, sister?
Yes, I agree 100%, but I also agree too, is it comes down to your role models in your house. Like, the women have to be just as strong as the men when it comes to celebrating our children. And I think that women need to step up too and start taking more of an action-based approach with their children and saying, no, we are going to celebrate this. I don't care if you're busy. I don't care if you have to work. We're going to celebrate this. You're going to take some time off, or we're going to do it on your day off. We're going to do something for our children and celebrate them. And all these milestones, we're going to accurately hit those and make sure they're hit, whether it's a ceremony or a sweat, or if it's, just them coming of age, or, any type of milestone that our children hit. I think a lot of times now that we're coming into this new age of, oh, that's old style, or that's old ways, or we don't practice this anymore. No, us as women are responsible for those traditions. So you know what, regardless of what anybody says, we're responsible to make sure that our children are celebrated just as much as anyone else. And I think that us as women need to start doing that and really taking time out from our busy schedules and holding that, holding the two people that are over the roost accountable and say, no, honey, we're going to get a cake. We're going to have taco dinner, whatever. We're going to have spaghetti dinner. We're going to invite the cousins over. I'm going to get some balloons from the Dollar Tree, whatever you're going to do. But it's the fact that, nope, be accountable as parents and celebrate your children.
That's right. And I can tell you this, I can tell you this from experience. This is my understanding and mine alone. So I'm not asking anybody to agree or disagree. I'm just saying this is my understanding. We are occupied on our lands. A lot of people will say, well, if you give them any authority, then they're going to take the authority. Well, here's what I'm doing to flip the narrative. And a lot of people will disagree with me on this. And honestly, I don't care much. I'm not asking for their permission. If you are going to try and act ugly to me because it doesn't fit your criteria, I'm going to remind you of the atrocities that your ancestors committed on our people, on our lands, on all of the other living life here. Not just because I think that I'm right. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. It has to do with the truth. And that is that. The truth is, our kids need to be celebrated. They need to be heard and understood. They need to believe that they're doing good things so that when it comes down to the spiral effect that it has, there again, the four seeds of destruction being planted in our communities, the gang banging, the false identities, the propping certain people up on a pedestal while putting our elders down and not even paying attention to those life ways anymore. All of those things are relevant to our identity. And instead of asking, it's not like, look, school district, whatever, wherever in this country or in Canada or where have you, I'm not asking you for permission for that. If you don't want to identify that my kid did a wonderful job, then you can go to hell. If you don't like it, I don't care. I'm not asking you. My kid went through the same educational requirements, and if my kid doesn't show up, I can face jail time. Any of those things like that they put on us as parents, being required to make sure our kids are in attendance. But when they excel, that should be an extra incentive for them to be recognized for all of their efforts, because many people walk in many different life ways. In America, as far as America wants to believe, they can say, oh, well, this is our country. No, bro, you're an immigrant too. You know what I mean? If that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. But that, again, I'm not asking if it's right or wrong. It's the truth. And that's where I stand with the whole idea. When our people stand up and say, well, I don't remember asking you, first of all. Secondly, yeah, I can file a lawsuit and I can, sit there and sue you for money. Great on them. You know what I'm saying? We should be doing that to remind them that they have a very thin line, between discipline and abuse. And that covers the gamut. So
absolutely. And we also got to stop being so quiet about this stuff. I think Native people are so used to being in the wallpaper.
Mm-hmm.
And just wanting to get by with no trouble, with no issue. Now, we're quick to cause trouble amongst ourselves, but we don't want to cause trouble with nobody else. Mm-hmm. That's got to end. One thing I got to say about myself, I'm a bit of a loudmouth when it comes to my kids and my culture. Every school that I've ever been to, the first day of school, I go and talk to the principal. I ask for a sit-down meeting with the principal. And so far, I haven't gotten any. I've had schools that had no problem working with me because I didn't spring it on them. I didn't just expect them to know. I didn't expect them to know what we did. So I do programs at these schools as well. So I'll go and say, hey, if you don't understand this, let me educate you. So first couple of days of school, I asked for a meeting with the principal and the school guidance counselor, saying, listen, my daughter is of Tuscarora Nation. We have this on these weekends. We have Longhouse on these weekends. So my daughter right now, she's got full permission, even though we go to an off-reservation school away from the res. This school allows her to go to powwow and not miss any. Whenever we got powwow and she wants to go dance, the only thing they require of her is to write an essay on that week's powwow and what she did and how she did it, which I think is great because it reinforces her knowledge as well. Because, she doesn't get off scot-free. If we had to leave on a Friday and I had to take her out of school, or she missed school because of powwow, the school understands that. They don't mark her off as absent. But like I've said, I was proactive at the beginning of the school year and said, my daughter is this. This is what we do. This is how we do things. And because they have to give you, if you explain it to them in the right way and say, listen, just like you give kids off for Ramadan, just like you give the Jewish kids off for what they believe in, the Muslim kids have certain days off. Our kids are like this. And I make it very clear. And I also come to them with dates ahead of time. I already know what powwows we're planning on attending, what ceremonies we have coming up. Mm-hmm. Because Haudenosaunee people, my people, we have women things that go on. My daughter wants to be a part of that stuff. It's important to her to be a part of that stuff. It's our religious freedom to do that. So I have the dates for those things and I turn them in immediately. So it's important for Native people, Native moms and dads, uncles and aunties need to show up at the school, make your presence known. Stop being the wallpaper. And that's the big issue we have in the Native community. We're just the wallpaper, not wanting to disturb the waters. We need more moms like Kelly out there that will raise hell when their kids are ignored when it comes down to Native American History Month. So we need that type of thing.
Well, and it's funny. My cousin just popped on, and it reminded me of something else. You know, about being an educator or someone who's informative or a teacher. What is a teacher? A teacher is somebody that is sharing knowledge and information to a student who is unaware. You know, and the difference between somebody who doesn't know, that word ignorance comes to mind. It might just be simply that, you know, people are bent on, or they're based on rules in most of the colonial systems that we have. Even in sports, we've come to understand that there are line judges and referees and umpires. Those are an authority figure within that sport in particular, right? So now you think about a coach, somebody who's like, all right, John, you're doing really good. I'm really proud of you. This is what we want right here, buddy. Keep that up. That's what all educators should be doing. We should be encouraging our kids to be the best that they possibly can be. If you don't like my particular identity, it doesn't suit you, then so be it. No water off your back, you know what I'm saying? It's not hurting you at all. But that's what I mean. If the more you support, the more you help people understand, you might not be the same as me. We look different, we sound different, we act different, we think different, but that doesn't mean we can't coexist. I mean, right, Kelly? Don't you see it? Like you said, you teach your kids, you know, the old ways. Like when somebody leaves the earth, for instance, and you say, well, they come back, you see a hawk flying around. Oh, there's Uncle. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like that's what we want to be able to do. We want to, your beliefs and your thoughts and feelings might not be the same as mine, but it's always important to encourage. Always. And if you're not doing that, then why are you doing the job that you're doing? Because if that's the kind of attitude that you're going to have towards my kids, I don't want you dealing with my kids.
Right.
I agree 110%. Absolutely. You know, this is such one of those subjects. I'm reading, my buddy Brian just reached out to us. He goes, your nephew, Pat, is they're not allowing him to wear his feather or his Comanche Nation drop next week when he graduates. Sigh. And that's a shame, man, because these kids want to be proud of what my daughter is wearing, her ribbon dress and her eagle feathers to her graduation. And she goes, Dad, you know, I'd rather not walk if I can't wear my stuff. I'd rather not walk. They can mail me my. Of course, the school is completely understanding, you know, of what's going on. So she's like, you know, these kids have pride in what they want to do because they realize they represent a nation, the new nation of our people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and here it is. We can argue semantics all day long. When it comes down to brass tacks, we have our way. Other people's have other ways. I want to incorporate those ways. You ever go somewhere and you see a whole bunch of people from different places like that? I'll bring up, you know, how I've seen it before. I went to Edmonton Mall in Alberta, Canada. This is a 3-mile wide facility. I've seen people from every walk of life you can imagine all walking around doing the same thing. They were shopping. That was what they were doing. Or they were watching the midget hockey game that was going on between the US and Canada. But people were there to celebrate the kids.
We're little people. We're little people.
No, that's the name of the division, my boy.
I know.
He's like, wait a minute.
Talking about we're little people.
That's what they're called. But that's what I'm saying. Everybody was there to shop. They're spending money. That's it. We can align ourselves. I think a large part of why we're dealing with these types of issues in the education system is because those educators that claim to know so much are as ignorant as they get. You don't teach a proper version of history because you don't like the truth, bro. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the truth. You don't like the truth, so therefore you're going to cozy it up and you're going to change it to fit your lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, the Indians just moved out of the way. Oh, really? That's what they
volunteered. They volunteered to leave.
The Cherokee Nation just totally got out of Northwest Georgia. Yeah, you know, you guys take that.
technically we did just move out of the way with guns at our backs.
Yeah, or in our faces, or the guns that we
Right.
had confiscated.
I want to give a big shout out to my fellow Native veterans out there. Memorial Day is coming up next week.
Yeah.
I just had the blessing just recently to be our parade here, a grand marshal, which was really cool to be. I was on a horse and buggy, but a special thank you for your service, all my fellow veterans out there. Memorial Day is a day for all of us to celebrate each other, and so that's why it's called Memorial. People don't realize what the memorial is. It's not a happy day. People think Memorial Day is to thank veterans, but Memorial Day is not to thank veterans. It is about reflection on those that did not make it back.
That's right.
About those veterans that did not make it back. It's about those soldiers that didn't make it back. So, if you are, if you celebrate Memorial Day, or I shouldn't say celebrate, if you acknowledge, and honor Memorial Day, I ask for you just to take a few minutes out of your day to lay down tobacco for those that lost their lives, the ones that didn't make it home, the ones that didn't make it back to the res, the ones that left and didn't come home, welcome back to their people. And that's the way, and I'm not just about when I say memorial, it's also for those that have taken their own lives. We have a large suicide rate amongst veterans. 22 veterans a day take their lives. And, this government definitely, haven't really helped that much. And so this Memorial Day, this Monday, instead of having your grill out, before you have your grill out, before you go to the beach, before you get your bikini and you want to show off and get drunk, I ask for you, before you put that alcohol in your system, to go out there and lay down some tobacco and just say a prayer for those families out there that lost their loved ones, that paid the ultimate sacrifice by putting on a uniform.
I also want to bring to that as well, like a lot of our people, especially on our coast reservation of Siletz and other areas, and I'm not just saying Siletz exclusively, but our family goes out and cleans graves, spiffs them up. If you want to bring flowers, it's always good to get that rose water prepared, because when you're working with those things, and especially for people who have already transitioned into the Milky Way and other parts of the universe, it's good to clean yourself up like that. If that means you fire up the sweater, whatever you're going to do, then do that. But I also want to take the time to honor our veterans that are from our tribes that fought the colonial authority as well. A lot of the times I feel like that AIM flag should be right in the middle of it. That's just, like I said, that's just my feelings on it. But I also think that those people that are standing up for our rights inherently to this land right here, for all of the conflicts that we've dealt with the government, we need to honor those people that put their lives on the line for us, those people who are still in prison, like Uncle Leonard and many others who are serving time for being warriors for our communities, when that government that basically tried to exterminate us, had to step up and say, no, we're not going to allow that to happen.
Okay, I love that, and I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Okay, we have a time for our social veterans, our Native people that protest, but this day has nothing to do with that. Okay, so we have to separate that and understand why that's separated. Okay, we have to acknowledge we have to acknowledge our Native veterans that do the protests, that have sacrificed the ultimate to go versus the government. But when we talk about Memorial Day, when we talk about this is about those that put on the uniform. Okay, understand that. This is not to take away from them. This is about the ones that aren't walking, aren't talking anymore. The ones that, like for my brother, that I had to clean his blood off my uniform. The ones that I had to clean off their brains off my uniform. The ones that I got shot and blown up for. So for my veterans out there, for my Native veterans, the ones that serve our communities,
sure,
they need their own time, their own day in the spotlight, because what they've done, it can never be replaced. And they need a thank you. They need an honoring of their own. Instead of mixing them with the United States government's remembrance, they need their own time. So our Native communities did come up with a day for the ones that were at Standing Rock, and the ones that are in prison, like Leonard Peltier, and the late greats that passed on now. We need that to be acknowledged within the Native community. Say, you know what? This day is going to be celebrated throughout all Native communities for those water protectors that lost their lives, the water protectors that face injuries, the ones that were out there in the rain, in the snow, in the sleet, and the hail. But when it comes to Memorial Day, the version of Memorial Day that's coming up, that's got to be separated, because we have to have an understanding of who and what we're talking about. It shouldn't be shared. It shouldn't be shared because it's two different meanings of what we're talking about.
Well, and I think that, to me, that I can say this much, even though people will disagree, it's good to bring the level of respect, because there are Native veterans in my family, there are non-Native veterans in my family, and I know the things that they went through. I mean, if you want to talk about it from the aspect that there are this group that like you said, didn't come home. You know what I mean? Like, I get that. You know what I mean? There are other people that came back and they're dealing with alcohol and drug addiction issues because they don't know any other way to deal with their PTSD or whatever it may be. They can't sleep. Like, I know my cousin, he's on a program through the VA, that they've given him prescription medication so that he can actually get a full night's sleep. That, to me, I understand that. And all the mental health issues, like you said, 22 suicides a day, all those things like that. It's very important. And I would love to hear your feelings too, Kelly.
So my feelings on this, and I agree with Patrick on this, because I always remind my children about my grandfather, Richard Bear, and the sacrifice he made to do 2 tours in the Navy. He entered the Navy when he was actually 16 years old because he didn't have a birth certificate. His family was starving. They needed money. He decided to go into the Navy, and he did 2 tours, and he was a child when he entered there. He had numerous amounts of hurdles while he was there because English was his second language.
Yeah.
And not only that, he was a dark-skinned Native, so he couldn't be on the top deck. He's too dark to be on the top deck. Only white people get him to be on top deck. They sent him downstairs with the black people. The black people didn't want him there either. They said, "You're not black." So there was a lot of racism that happened while he was serving his country, So I always remind my children, think about those sacrifices.
Yeah.
Because that's real.
And it was
a hard thing he had to do to feed his family.
Well, and to add to that a little bit, like, I think that's the double standard that I've noticed with regard to our natives. Not only are we fighting for, with and for the United States, but we are also fighting for the identity that we had before the United States was even a reality. That's basically what I'm getting to, because yes, we do need that. We do need to honor those people out there, because a lot of people that come home, a lot of them, like you said, it had to do with financial opportunity or lack thereof. I mean, to me, this is where I understand it. Even people on the powwow circle, Ron is such a radical. You know what I mean? I'll sit there and when I'm carrying a flag, like I said, I have my grandpa who did storm the beach at Normandy. I do have cousins that lost their lives over in Iraq and Afghanistan. I know what that feels like to know that they're not coming home. I don't want to. I'm the one that's kind of like, I'm still doing the Libra thing where I'm trying to balance it. You know what I mean? Because I don't want people to get mad at me for my viewpoints on it. Especially when it comes to the level of respect. And like Patrick said, it's not necessarily about the United States. It's the fact that those people did what they did. And for that, I have the ultimate respect. No doubt about it.
Yeah, see, I come from a different point of view of all of this because I've been there and done it.
Right.
I know I deal with PTSD. I got 5 bullet holes. I've been blown up. I'm losing one eardrum with a metal plate in the back of my head. So right. I'm not a guy from the outside looking in. I'm not a guy that just had family members that went through it. I'm a guy that's gone through it. I'm a guy that's been there. I'm a guy that's done that. I know what it is to try to commit suicide. I've been there. I've done it. I spent 6 months in the VA hospital trying to get myself back to where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So I come from this place of firsthand knowledge of knowing what it is to have that do to me. So that's why I said, and I've also been on the front line serving my community. I've been at Standing Rock. I've been at being a water protector. I'm still a water protector.
Right.
The point I'm making is, instead of trying to combine these things and say, well, what about the Native? Well, what about this? How about we have our own? How about we not share? Because the meaning behind of what's going on has nothing to do with being Native. This has nothing to do with being Native. This is about serving. This is about just Native, about veterans, period. Ain't black, white, ending, it doesn't matter. It's about those that served and did not make it home. Not the one. It didn't. This thing ain't be about me. This thing's not be about me because I'm still walking, I'm still breathing, I'm still talking. It's about the 2 soldiers I left in Iraq. About the blood on my uniform I still have from Iraq. About me having to do CPR in Iraq. That's what this day's about. It's not about nothing else. It's above me. It goes beyond me. So it's about those that didn't make it home. Mm-hmm. So I would rather have a day that we can set apart just for the other warriors that we have. Our women warriors out there that fight every day on the front line against the federal government. About the ones that are fighting against digging of our sacred burial sites, about the water protection and so on and so forth. And that's making about this. We can't combine something that has nothing to do with one or the other.
Yeah. Well, and Lloyd Chavis Jr. decided to say this as well. He says, thank you for clarifying that, brother. And I know he's responding to you, Patrick. He says he has to correct people every year when they thank me for my service on Memorial Day. So proud of you, Patrick, for being Grand Marshal and for fighting for us Native vets as well. So that's really good to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Fabian's response about Uncle Leonard being up for parole next year. That's also a thing. I'm not, like I said, I'm not picking a fight here with my brother. What I'm doing is, like, when we present opposing opinions, that doesn't necessarily mean, you know what, I don't like what Patrick just said, because people will take and they will try to say that. And it's my thought, because I also have feelings about people that I've known in Iraq. I had a relationship about 15 years ago with a woman who was born in Iraq and raised there and in Libya. Her mother is a Arab histories major with a PhD. She lost 2 brothers that lived there in that country the day the United States started to carpet bomb Baghdad. So I know the feelings from all sides of the fence. That's one of the reasons why, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to pick fights with anybody. I'm just saying that we are all human beings first and foremost, and where we share those feelings is a lot has to do with the trauma that comes from loss. Because I can tell you, when my relationship with my ex at that time, what she had said, her feelings on, like, man, yeah, I saw my mom lose her mind. I'm like, I could only imagine, you know what I'm saying? To know that, like you said, when you see that blood on the uniform, when you feel it hit your face or whatever it may be, those things will impact you. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. It's life. Yeah. And it's respect for life. That's how I would view it. When I see those veterans out there on that floor, when they're representing their division of service, which branch of the armed forces they're in, or the National Guard, or like we're now the Space Force or whatever, people are putting time and energy into doing something, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, he's a tech geek. Live long and prosper. But that's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying?
Because I've been attacked by other natives openly. I'm a traitor. I am, I go against my own people. Mind you, a lot of this comes from guys that won't even show up to a protest. Yeah. You work for the federal government. Like, dude, I've done more for my people than you could ever do for your people. I've done more for other communities than you could ever do for your people. And I did it with the money I made from the military.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess I get a little bit more defensive because I've been attacked by other natives that tell me I'm a scout, or I'm a betrayer of my people, or I'm joining the federal government. And these anti-military people, they're anti-military, but they don't do shit for the community. They don't step up for the community. You know how many people call me? There was one guy that called me a traitor to the community, and he's a well-known woman beater.
That's my point. Pick your poison, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what I mean? He's a child molester. He's locked up right now for child molestation. On his own nieces and nephews, he's locked up for child molestation. But he's looking at me and calling me a traitor to my people, and never did nothing for his community. So for me, I take a little bit more of offense. I am a 4th generation soldier. I followed in the footsteps of my grandfather, and we didn't fight for the government. We fought for our people, because I've been to other countries. And you can say what you want. Believe me, there's some countries out there you don't want to take over this. Believe me. I mean, at least I can talk trash about this crap, the presidency or the government. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that. There's countries out there, you do that right now, man, you get shot in the face. I've seen it happen. I was in Iraq when a guy went across get a Saddam Hussein, and a soldier picked up a pistol and shot him right in his face, right in front of all of us. We couldn't do nothing. Just because he's bad about their government, got shot in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And two, like I said, there's non-native veterans in my family that I know. They might not have served on the front lines, but I can tell you what, their time in the service made them, you know, a little bit more attentive to daily activities, how they make their bed. You know, I turn off the water between, you know, soaping up in the shower, whatever it may be. You know, there's these little things that they do that I've noticed as part of their daily routine. I was like, wow, that's a trip. But to me, that's you're not wasting resources. One of the things I can say, that's the individual. I'm not saying, we're not talking about the government here, because I can tell you when it comes to military spending, there's a lot of waste there.
Dude, that's a whole show I could get into. Believe me, you're absolutely 100% true.
But it's not just the United States governments. Tribal governments do that shit too. So they
Oh
can,
my God, yeah.
in the worst way. Now, not to say all tribes, because I can tell you that my experience right now, we're in from the nation where I sit now, Stillaguamish people, they help in so many different ways. As a matter of fact, if they were going to do a tribal summit, bro, I would say, hey, all you tribes out there across the country are having issues with bankruptcies or liens or seizures or foreclosures or anything like that, come out here to Stillaguamish and ask their council how they do it. You want to know a secret, people? I'm going to tell you right now, and this is going to warm you up just a little bit, okay? Blood quantum. Big issue with blood quantum, right? Oh, well, as soon as you're no longer recognized as a blood member of that tribe, you're no longer, there's no more Indians there. Oh, sorry, you're no longer in existence. Some tribes out there, including this one, decided, well, you know what? We say what our blood quantum is. We are the ones that make that decision. We're not asking you. This has nothing to do with certificate of Indian blood. This has to do with the fact that we're including these children in our future. Up, now all of a sudden you're a full blood, bro. You know what I mean? Think about it, the brown skins out there all over the country that might be half Mashika or and half Oto or you know, Sac and Fox, and then they're part black. So what? If they're going out there and celebrating, they're wanting to learn their language, they want to sit down at the drum, or they want to help their community or things like that, I think it's up to us as people. That's what a chief or you know, a medicine person or a matriarch in our community, they should have the rights to be able to say that. And it might piss people off. Well, what about all the descendancy issues and the fact that they might not want to learn anything, or they're just there for a casino check? Yeah, there are those people too, but at the same time, there are a lot of people that are sincere. I met this guy the other day. As a matter of fact, day before yesterday at the powwow in Spokane. Not a lick of native blood. But this dude was practically in tears. Now, I'm not the one that's going to be out there like, oh, you poor thing. But he said, I have such love and respect for you people. To me, that right there said it all. I was like, wow, he might not be native, but at least he has the respect for us. You know, he's excited and he wanted to share his teepee and all his pictures. And he had he had a flip phone from like 10, 15 years ago and could barely see the screen, but he was so proud of that. To me, that's what we need to be cultivating, those relationships, because I can say, if it keeps on going the way that it's going, what is our native identity going to be like in 5 years, 10 years? I mean, seriously, I mean, we've got our kids captured in devices right now. They're captured in the devices. They don't got no attention span for language or culture. You know, they may, like I said so many times before, yeah, they're dancing at powwows, but do they know how to speak their language? Do they know how to talk to the elders? Do they know how to go gather firewood? Do they know about the sacred foods? Do they know ways of the protocols of the ceremonies in their communities? I mean, really? Do they know how to pour water or set up a sweat? What?
This is a great question for Kelly down there. You know, she's a mom of 4 girls, right, Kelly? You got 4 girls.
4 girls.
4 girls and two about to be 2 grandbabies.
Yep.
How do you I'm glad Ron brought this up. It's a great subject. And being a mom of all these girls and teenagers, seeing them come up and everything with all this technology, I mean, how are you balancing this out? And how do you balance this out in your home?
Well, I think that, you know what, it's kind of hard not to balance it when you wake up Indian.
Oh, wake up Indian.
You wake up Indian. I look Indian. I can't deny that. I see myself in the mirror every day, and my children are brown. We cannot We cannot say, today I decide to be a pretendian. I'm going to go in and be an Anglo woman and go to Walmart and walk around without people following me.
And have good credit.
Yep, and have good credit. That is unrealistic as an Indian woman and as a single mother too, that had children with, you know, people that decided they weren't ready to be parents. You know, that's
Right.
how that goes. So for me, you know, I always relied on the seasons to really teach my girls, you know what? It's about to be fall. You know, it's time to gather. It's wintertime. We're in gathering stage. We're not cutting our hair during this time. This is the time where we tell stories. This is the time where we bead and we craft. This is the time where we already collected, you know, we were collecting our willows because our plants are asleep. We're sitting here together. The TV is off or the radio is on, and we're skinning willows. We're crafting. We're doing all these things because it's my responsibility to make sure that this is happening. It's my responsibility. I'm the mother. I'm the single parent, but I'm also the mother. This is my responsibility to make sure that my girls know their responsibility as women, because I have children that are probably going to get married and go in all different directions. And how am I supposed to mandate, oh, the moon is out. It's a full moon. You need to set your water out. They already know. They know, because I've been telling them this ever since they were little. This is the stuff that we do as women in our culture.
Yeah.
You know, because it's important. Because it's not anybody else's responsibility. My parents are both gone. It's not their responsibility, the grandparents, to make sure that the grandkids are following these directions. No, it's mine.
Right.
They already gave me the tools. I have to pass those on. Whether it's language, stories, traditions, skills, crafting, that's my responsibility. Nobody else's. And it's also my responsibility to be with Indian men and make Indian babies. Sorry, I'm going to put it out there and say that. That's also my responsibility too. Whether I take a W or I take an L, my children are Native. My grandchildren are Native. Sorry I said it, but that is also my responsibility. Yes, it takes two to tango, but I also have to choose my partner.
The
Sorry.
knockout punch, baby.
Sorry.
Woo!
That's
I feel
putting it out
attacked.
there because I was told. Sorry,
Me too.
sorry, gentlemen. I know it hurts. But you know what? That's my responsibility as an Indian woman to make sure that my children have the identity that they do, have the culture that they do.
You're absolutely 100% right. In my personal opinion, I got with a white lady with my child, my youngest child, because I thought I'd fix my credit. Didn't work. So I fixed my credit. I was trying to get my land back one white lady at a time. Didn't work. But now that I'm older, I'm more involved in my culture and I'm more involved with my daughters. I'm definitely more. I mean, and I say this with all due respect to my natives out there that do get mates of other races and stuff. But I realize as an older man and being a teacher of my man, it's so much easier to be with a native woman because I don't have to explain ceremony. I don't have to explain this. I don't have to explain that. My daughters, it's way easier when it comes down to ceremony with my daughters. It's way easy, but I am not getting anyone that chooses to step outside of our cultural boundaries and you want to try it out. But I definitely, in my own personal opinion, seen what can happen because I've done both. I've tried the other side of the fence, and I'm definitely more in my age now that I'm like, I'm definitely chasing native women again because it just, for me, makes life a lot easier because being a practicing traditionalist, I find that trying to live that way is much easier with another native, not just any native woman, but a native woman that follow traditions as well. So that's got to also be understood. It's just because you're with a native person doesn't mean that native person follows traditions. You could end up getting being a traditionalist, end up getting with a Bible thumper. So you don't know. So what was that word you just used? Picking your spouse wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Picking your mate wisely when it comes. I am definitely at 41 years old. I'm picking way wiser than I've ever picked before. And now I'm like, okay, what do I want? What life do I want to live? And who's going to help me do that a little bit better?
I need to talk about something like, for whatever reason, and I'm thinking this to myself for the longest time. There's a percentage factor of people who want to ascend. They get up every single day It doesn't matter what type of ceremony they undertake. It doesn't matter, you know, about any outside influences, about their choices and how they want to do things and how they want to learn or how they want to grow. They want to excel. Right. Exactly. I know.
I'm sorry. It's what Austin just said. I love it. And Austin's right. Austin's right. This is what Austin said. This selection partner search
It is. We are human. We're human with needs, Austin.
Nothing worth having isn't worth working for.
That is true.
But I don't know if you guys are into Viggo Mortensen like I am. He's done a lot of awesome movies. He was king in the Lord of the Rings after the third part of that series.
Yeah.
He did a movie called Captain Fantastic. If you guys have not seen it, I encourage you to get on Netflix or Prime and look it up. Captain Fantastic. Him and his wife in the movie, they decide to move out to the woods with their kids. They have a bus, but they teach these kids everything that they could possibly teach them, from playing the guitar to flutes and drums. And, you know, they gave them names that they basically made up because they didn't want them to have to identify with, you know, lack of creativity, if you will. You know, their kids had all these crazy names, but you could ask them any subject, doesn't matter what it is, and they would start rapping off. They, oh yeah, that's this and this is that. You know, they knew history not only of this country but of the world. You know, in all these different places, they spoke like 5 fluent languages. You know, outside of American English. These kids shine so far beyond and all the other kids in the movie, you know. And then of course his wife dies. I'm not going to spoil the movie in its entirety. I'm just going to say his partner passes away, and this, her side of the family, his in-laws, were literally trying to take these kids away, thinking that because they didn't choose the same way to live, that somehow that they were dealing with some sort of low level abuse. Not the case at all. These kids outshined those other kids like 1,000-fold. That right there, that to me, that's how I look at it as a native person. Like, I feel like my identity, you know, and wanting to ascend when it comes to language, when it comes to the songs that we carry, when it comes to the ways that we teach our children to be respectful and still stand up at the powwow when there's elders on the floor. All of those things have to do with ascension. And pardon bringing up Sadhguru again, but I love this man's understanding. If you want to live a proper life, align all of the things that you do in one direction. Now, when we get up in the morning, we greet the sun, we fill up our sacred pipe, we walk out there like that. The way we walk toward that arbor before we enter that east gate has to do with the fact that we're aligning ourselves with the light that gives us everything that we have on this earth to begin with. Warmth and growth and all of it, opportunity to see throughout the entirety of the day until the sun sets, and then we go to sleep and we wake up, we do it again. That is what I want to say, especially when it comes to our native children. You know, graduate from high school, yeah, but ascend, get into those programs, those sciences and engineering societies, get into the medical programs and be able to come back to your community and serve your community as a doctor. Or you want to learn the legal speak and you want to learn the ins and outs of the lawyers communities, lawyers guilds or whatever, so that you can protect your community when it comes to incursion. That's what I mean by ascension. So anyway, yeah, for a pasty dude.
Dude,
Austin,
you said extension. I'm thinking everybody flying.
So you know what? Yep, Austin wins this one tonight. This is you, Austin, right here. That's the voices of Gathering of Nations. If you guys like Gathering or you don't like Gathering, and oh, by the way, Fabian, this one's for you. Boom, right there. There it is.
Ha ha!
Yay! We still got more, and I know how many people we got on commenting tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
I saw Opie show up, and he's been watching the podcast. Opie Dave, Mr. Midnight Express. That's right.
We have been bombarded with great comments. We got Mr. Chavis, Lloyd Chavis that commented. We got let me just throw out some people out there that's really been commenting out here. Austin, of course. Star Joseph has been out here. Brenda, as always. Always.
Thank you, Brenda.
There's another one. That one's coming too. Right there, Brenda. Boom. And then Lloyd. Boom. There it is right there.
George. We had Ashley, of course. We have Will Mosley out there watching. We got Drew Rivas out there watching. Man, we got a great group, everybody. Y'all must have missed us. Is that what it is? Y'all miss us? Maybe this every 2 week thing is the best thing. Y'all miss us a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have even more giveaways coming up. This is just a start. We've been doing giveaways just about every broadcast, and now that we're going to do every 2 weeks, every other Monday here on the B&B Indigenous Podcast, we got to come up with a new name now. Now we got Kelly out there. We got the B&BK, the KBNB, the BB&K.
I kind of like B&B. I think
you like B&B?
Better. I think simple is better. Let's just.
It's the Howard Stern Show, but he's got other guest hosts on there. People know it's the Howard Stern Show, but I can tell you what, his crew is awesome. That's what I look at. We went with the B&B because it was Bellegarde and Brooks. You know what I mean? Or that's Brooks and Bellegarde. Whoever wants to go first, I don't really care.
It don't matter. Hey, we got some great shows coming up for ladies and gentlemen. We have some great shows coming up. Kelly's got a great guest coming up, lined up for us here shortly. Kelly, could you tell us a little bit about that guest we have lined up?
Well, she is from Micklechuck area. Her name is Valerie Segrest, and she was actually a judge on Chef vs. Wild. If anybody's seen that show,
it's a good one. Yeah.
Wasn't it on Hulu?
Yes,
I think it was on Hulu. Man, I'm telling you, ever since I watched that show, I was like, so. I mean, our people, we kind of use some of our medicinal plants for medicine, but not really edible as we should, besides berries and stuff like that. But to actually think about other things, and I didn't know. And she's from over in Ron's part of the neck of the woods, and so I had no idea there was so many different edible mosses and edible fungi, in that neck of the woods, and all these things. Yeah. And it was like, wow, how plentiful is our native lands that we don't really dig in deep and really start foraging and pulling out these nutrients that we're eating pesticides and all this other stuff with all this other stuff, and it's growing outside where it doesn't have any of that. It's all from the earth to ingest it. And I think food sovereignty is really big right now. And I know that there's a lot of other people too. I know Linda Black Elk is another one. Props to her from up there in our Lakota Nation. She's another one that is big on food sovereignty and harvesting. And her and her husband, and their Facebook is popping right now. They have videos of them taking plants apart, making stew, making supplements, adding stuff to their food to combat ailments, and just being a more healthier native person. I think we need to go back to that, to the beginning. Like we said, we always say that, go back to the old ways. But I think a lot of those old ways are really, they're few and far between who remembers how to prepare this stuff. And so we have a handful of people out there that are willing to put their videos on Facebook or YouTube. I mean, why not highlight them? Why not let people be aware of, hey, with the price of food right now, and we're technically in a recession, it's a good idea if you have the area and the square feet to start planting and start growing your own vegetables and start harvesting them and teaching your children and your grandchildren, and be that auntie and be that uncle that has the green thumb and that can actually provide for our families and our neighbors next door and feed our people again. That's what it's all about. It's not just about going up to the mountains and getting an elk and distributing meat. No. It's about a full spectrum of providing, and having that food sovereignty is very, very big right now.
So what date are we going to have her on?
The 12th.
The 12th we'll have her. We're going to try to stick in this category because she's a great guest to have on. The following week, I have another guest lined up, possibly. I'm not 100%, but this young lady, she's going to be talking about
acupuncture.
Aquaponics and hydroponics, which I think is the way of the future of native growing foods. With everything that we have going on, we have so much ground out there that no longer can be grown on. We have to look at alternative ways of growing food, and hydroponics and aquaponics are not only one of the best ways to do it, it's the most commercially wide way of people are getting into it. So aquaponics is being able to grow food outside of the ground and direct water. Hydroponics the same way. So have you ever heard of a hydroponic tower? So on a hydroponic tower is just literally a bucket of water that cycles through the water, and the water directly runs over top of the roots, and nutrients going directly into the plant, being able to grow without the soil. Soil attracts bugs and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to grow straight up instead of growing straight out. So you'll be able to grow more crops in a smaller amount of area, being nutrition, being healthy for our communities. And maybe some of our communities that are having money coming in for casinos will start allotting some of that money outside the casino to build hydroponic plants, as well as hydroponic and aquaponic companies to teach our people of this new way of growing. One aquaponic company, which is $5,000, would feed 40 families. 40 families, they'll never have to buy vegetables again. $5,000 will feed 40 families for the rest of their lives as long as the system is maintained, which is actually a self-governed system, a self-running system. All you have to do is continue to replenish the water and the fish, and now you have fish and you have vegetables all year long. And I think it's important to be able to jump into that. And the person I have coming on, I can't think of her name. I will make sure I post her name, but she's a native person outside of Wisconsin.
Patrick did it. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Like they're celebrating her right now, Patrick.
That's it. They found the bodies.
Yeah.
And that's something we want to. Me and Ron has talked about for a while, and me and Kelly had talked about a while back as well.
So I also want to bring to light, there's a website called SeattleRefined.com. If you guys want to know more about our upcoming guest, Valerie Segrest, she is a Muckleshoot tribal member. As a matter of fact, when it comes to sacred foods, the Pacific Northwest would be the bastion of that. Like, not to say that things don't grow in other environments in other regions of the continent, because that's just patently false. I'm just saying there's a litany of foods. You know, as a matter of fact, the article, it says, if you have yet to watch this article from October 3rd, 2022, right there, SeattleRefined.com. If you have yet to watch the new Hulu show Chefs vs. Wild, which debuted September 26th of 2022, you are in for a treat. The show is the epitome of all things Pacific Northwest and provides just about everything you'd want and hope for in a reality show. Muckleshoot tribe member and wild foods expert Valerie Segrest is a featured judge on the new show. I got a chance to chat with Segrest about her role and the show's concept. It's if Alone and Chopped had a baby, she says. So I'm not going to go through the whole article. I just wanted to let you know, SeattleRefined.com. Check them out. You guys can read the entirety of the article. It's exciting to know that we've got somebody else like Kelly that's working to pull in more guests for us. That's the nice thing about having, 3 separate people working and researching, because not only are you going to get alternate opinions, you're going to know that this is, hey, we got people out here that are, if she's a foods expert, sacred foods expert. There's a gentleman that was actually on a movie called Fantastic Fungi, which is available on Netflix for the longest time. He's a mycology expert. And that was one of my favorite documentary films I ever watched, because this guy was self-taught, and when it comes to mycology, he is the voice for that world. So, and we're still working to get Ruben giving me all these stickers like that. Like I said, he's just been busy. So, we want to pick Ruben's brain a little bit. You know what I mean? Not too much. I'm not a full comb over, but we want to hear his story. I can tell you what, there was a drum group called The Tribe from Lawrence, Kansas at Haskell University. Right. He was part of that drum group for the longest time. As a matter of fact, they started at Haskell. And, he's got some really good stories, good history. He is extremely smart and
knowledgeable.
He remembers everybody's names. He will tease the hell out of you, and that's good, because that's what us Indians do anyway.
I'm working on right now a great show, something we've been lined up for a while that I'm finally putting together, is an all-comedian show.
Mm-hmm.
We have the women of Native comedy. It's called the Aunties. We're working on a show to bring them alive here on the broadcast. Stephanie and the ladies are going to be on, and it's going to be a fantastic show. I'm so excited. I love comedians, and these ladies have been working their butt off. Stephanie also has been now the new female MC. She's been kicking it as the MC out there, which is fantastic. I love seeing her out there doing the MC work. And she's back in the powwow community dancing too.
Yay.
So it's great to see her, getting back out there dancing, doing the MC and doing the comedian thing. Our women are remarkable. So it's nice to see. I'd like to put a show together with our drums again, Ron. That was such a great show we did a while back with our drum groups. I wouldn't mind getting the Cathedral Singers on because they
Cathedral Lakes.
Yes, because they are a big female drum, is a mixed drum. And, I just seen a comment just recently of a young lady leading on a drum and all these men attacking her, which I went to her defense. People forget that we are all from different nations. We believe different things. And this young lady was getting attacked by other tribes talking about women don't belong on the drum. And we need to start getting our heads out of our asses and stop telling everybody, every other tribe what they should be doing when it has nothing to do with your tribal nation.
Mm-hmm. Well, you remember when Steve was on the show with us about a month ago, talking about the protocols. He says we have protocols for that reason, and that just pertains specifically to our Cree people. Might be other ways too, but like he said, that breath on that drum is not for our women folk. That's no disrespect to the women in general, because I'll tell you what, and this is just my feeling and understanding about it, that song wouldn't sound half as pretty if it weren't for those female voices. Matter of fact, case in point, standing there at the powwow watching Kozad jam out yesterday, watching Warpaint jam out live, watching Midnight Express and Indian Hill and Indian Nation, all those other drums. That, like I said, man, you see it, and I watch those ladies behind the drum, especially for a Southern drum, because usually for Southern style drums, Southern style, Southern Thunder, Yellow Hammer, Rose Hill, all these drums I've known, there's like 5 or 6, maybe 7, even 10 female singers on the back end of that drum, each to their own style, each to their own teachings. That's why I was thinking about, because I heard it, man, and it sounds so damn pretty when everybody's singing together. It just fills in all of that,
I think, man, there's some good female lead singers out there. Some great female lead singers out there, man. And I love hearing them myself. I love getting a taste of other tribal nations' identity. And that's what I think, I think some of us out there are Indian police. If it ain't done the way their tribe does it, then it's the wrong way. And that's what irritates me, because I've had people, there was a young man that took his kid out there to dance.
Mm-hmm.
Took his kid out there to dance. And people are getting on him about, we don't supposed to put our babies in there. Our babies don't. So, and they were like really ragged. It's like, dude, I'm not from y'all's nations. This is what our people do. Our people bring their kids into the powwow very early. And they were really ragging on him about it and asking him to take down the picture because it doesn't represent other nations. Like, are you kidding me? We're turning into the people we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
We're out here telling tribes what they should be doing, of what they should be doing personally, which is completely wrong. And that's why I was like, Cathedral Lakes have been a mixed drum ever since I remember. And those women can lead, buddy. They can lead. And they sound amazing. And their nation always had women on their drums.
JB Gay, that's one of the original American Indian Dance Theater singers right there, along with Arlene Eskai. Arlie lives here in the Pacific Northwest. Matter of fact, just about a half hour from where I'm at right now. You will find that the Man Killers. Tell Wilma's family. You know what I'm saying? See what their response is. I had to laugh around because it's true. It's different. There's a drum that comes from New Mexico. Their main lead singer is a woman, and you can tell it's a woman singing. But to me, like, I know some of my family over here, like even from Browning, my Kicking Woman fam, that Ray Lynn Jansen, Kicking Woman, she been singing with that drum since she was a kid. Like, her leads are wicked and always have been. Like, I got a little sister, Harmony Paul. She sings with the Four Direction Singers out there in Portland. by way of Lapway, and when she sings lead, yeah, you can hear a girl singing sometimes, but then there are times that you can't. I'm like, who was that? Oh, that was Harmony. And she was raised on that drum. So you can get mad all you want. Like, I understand protocols. I am the type of person that if that's how you do it with your people, I will respect that. If it's not how you do it, I will in turn, again, I will
and if it's not a tribal powwow, if it's an intertribal powwow, shut your mouth. That's why it's called an intertribal powwow. If you want to do protocol, stick to your tribal nation's people.
Well, and if the powwow committee sets up their rules and says that there are no female singers at the drum, that's their right to do that as well. You know what I mean?
And I've never been to a powwow that said anything like that. When a tribal powwow, I have never been to a powwow. They set rules that said women can't sing. I have never, ever been to a powwow. As long as I've been dancing my whole life, ever went to an intertribal. Now, I've been to tribal powwows.
Right.
I've been invited to another tribal nation's powwow, and that powwow was for the tribal nation. That was different. They had certain rules, which I totally respected and honored and show my respect. But I've never been to an intertribal powwow that wanted other tribes to come and say, you know what, since you're coming to our powwow, you abide by our rules. I never heard that. Because I dance counterclockwise. When I'm in my regalia and I'm dancing and I'm dressed as my Tuscarora Nation, I dance counterclockwise. I've never been corrected and said, hey, you need to dance the other way. Like, no. When I'm dancing in my tribal attire, I'm dancing in Tuscarora. I'm dancing in the way of the circle of my own people, unless I'm at a tribal event, and that's the way the tribal nation does. I'll show that respect and do it then. But for a tribal powwow, man, if it's in a tribal powwow, stop telling people what they should and should not be doing if it's according to their nation's rules.
Oh, I remember one of my grandpas saying when I was a kid, some people will say things to you like, oh, you got to be careful how you do it. If you dance in that circle that way and that's the direction that you dance all the time, then do that. He said, if you go and you turn around and go the opposite direction, it might feel out of sorts for you. He said, but also, you'll hear people say, well, that's how you get yourself tangled up. It's like, first of all, if you understand anything about a circle, the circle doesn't have an end spot. It continues. Right. And if you turn this direction going this way and you flip it around, guess what? It's going the opposite direction. It's all a matter of perspective. And if you understand that perspective, then you should be able to get through it without any controversy.
We have a special guest, and we had the Crow Dog family, Miss Virginia Crow Dog in the house visiting us tonight. One of our new guests.
Hey, all right.
We always rep it. We love that last name. We know the Crow Dog family well. And so we want to reach out to Miss Virginia and just say thank you so much for joining our podcast tonight.
Yeah.
So,
I can tell you what, I grew up, around a lot of Aimsters, of course, as you know.
Yes.
I can say this much: the Crow Dog family helped my family, especially listening to some stories from Uncle Dino, listening to him share about how it was going on back in the day when things were happening with regard to Wounded Knee, the second Wounded Knee, and it's not just their family, but a lot of different families. that brought those good feelings, that good strong medicine like that, and there was one of the lates. I'm not going to say his name, but I think people in the Crow Dog family, especially, and anybody who knows about that, I just do that because I try to walk with those old school protocols by not bringing up their name anymore. You let them rest and do
absolutely.
But people know who we're talking about, especially
if you do any kind of ceremony. And you are part of that ceremony circle about medicine. The Crow Dog family is a well-known name that comes up quite a bit when it comes down to ceremony and traditions. So I have nothing but respect for the Crow Dog family, without a doubt.
I want to take the time right now to say hello to one of our sponsors for the B&B Indigenous podcast, Skoden.xyz. I was popping their name out all over Legends Powwow too. SKODEN, Skoden.xyz. Take the time, sign up for an account. We want to build this up. I was talking to everybody out there. I was talking to all the fam at Blackstone. I got video to prove it. I was talking to all those singers over at midnight, talking to all the powwow people that I could, letting them know we're not just saying this because it's something fun to do. We want you to come over there. We want you to share your beadwork or your star quilts. We want you to share your quill work. We want you to share your art that you do. We want you, and I'm not picking on Facebook exclusively, but the censorship that goes on with a lot of our native community, this is something they might not want to hear. And I know they have people to address those types of things with condescension, especially from people like me. You know, you get a post that's been flagged. You know, now within reason, you know, we shouldn't be talking any negativity out there and putting, you know, each other down. But anybody can say anything. If they don't like what you're doing, they can flag you for any reason. If it even slightly offends people in cancel culture, that, you know, Facebook will come along, we're going to have to, you know, shut you down for 30 days. You won't be able to comment or post any new content for yourself. It's like, wait a damn minute here. You know what I mean? Skodan.xyz is your place to not have to deal with half the censorship that you do with some of the larger social media platforms out there. Get on, sign up for an account today. Don't forget to check out Powwow Television Network. We're working on our channel that's going to feature the B&B Indigenous podcast on Roku. Yeah, so
something that happened this couple weeks ago, I want to put a big light on, which I thought was amazing. I hope you don't mind. I take a second. There was a young man that decided to do something that a lot more young men need to do, and he put his brother on blast. I'm not going to mention names, but if you're following my Facebook, if you're out there, what happened was he found out one of his brothers was having sexually advances to a young girl over Facebook, sending her messages. Now, he warned this gentleman. The gentleman did not take notice. So what he did is he put him out there publicly and blasted him publicly and shared the conversation of what happened, how it went on. We need more of this to happen to protect our kids out there. The young girl told the gentleman that she was 14 years old. The gentleman at hand, it was in his his mid to late 20s. And he was giving sexual advances at the young woman. And the gentleman warned him, said, listen, man, step off, stay away from her. Turns out this guy had been doing it to multiple young females. And so he had to put him on blast. And I see some Native people that go, oh, we need to handle this in-house. If you believe that we need to handle this in-house, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. Statutory rape, as well as child molestation and child abuse goes on regularly on our tribal reservations. I know people don't want to hear it. You don't like hearing us doing bad stuff, but this shit goes on all the time. Excuse my language, just the word that needs to be said at the moment. This stuff goes on rampant on our reservations. And there was either young women that came forward about this same gentleman saying they no longer dance because he was so prominent within the powwow community. And they don't dance because they didn't want him to be near them. So they gave up powwow because of him. So I hear people going, well, this should have been handled in the house. The social media isn't the place to bring it. Social media is exactly the place we need to bring it because that's where everybody pays attention. We need to sound alarms on these nasty ass creep bags. And as a father of 2 daughters, all I got to do is say thank you. Thank you so much for that person. Now, this guy wasn't putting accusations. He shared the entire conversation to prove that he wasn't trying to throw a man under the bus. And it took him some time and some prayer to say, yes, I'm going to make this public. He even said that I never blast anybody on social media. I've never seen this guy badmouth anybody. He felt it was necessary to bring this to the public's eye on what was going on. And this gentleman, you know, you knew he was guilty because he deleted his Facebook immediately. He deleted all of his comments immediately. He didn't want anything following him back. So a big shout out to you. You know who you are, buddy, for putting that guy on blast. I know you didn't want to, but you did the right thing. So you have nothing but my respect. Give the B&B Indigenous podcast respect and honor for, I mean, Ron's a brand new dad of a brand new daughter. And I think, how old is she now? 1 now.
She's a year.
1 year old now. So I know Ron is ready to cut somebody. So, and Kelly's got 4 daughters down there, and she leaves in the hands of our young men and our men out there to protect our young girls, our young boys as much as we can out there. So thank you for putting that on blast.
And also, I want you to remember, hey, young people, young men, especially you young men, not that you young women can't be included, you know, because we're the things, like I said, things have changed over the years. There's a certain society out there that exists within our native communities, mainly in the on the plains. But there are societies like, and I'm just going to bring this up, and I'm not trying to offend anybody by saying this, but there's a dog soldier society. Now, traditionally, historically, there are certain ways that you go about being included in this. This isn't a secret society. This isn't the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Illuminati. This is a society of warriors that comes together to handle any social unrest, on any wrongdoings going on in the community. You should be aware. You should be aware that there are, instead of a gangster mentality being pushed in your community, you should be included in a warrior society. There are warrior societies that exist in your community, which I think would be good for you to understand. That way, that you're included in a group of people that are of like mind, that are like, you know what, we're not going to tolerate this abuse upon our women and our children and our more vulnerable, community members. Doesn't matter what type of identity they may undertake. If it's not hurting other people in the community, then they should be protected. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the way that it is. And that's why I say, when I talk to the young people out there in our communities, instead of getting yourself caught up in a gang mentality, you should be thinking about a warrior society again. Be reintroduced. And if you don't know, ask your aunties, uncles, and or grandparents out there that have an understanding of those things, so that you can, if they decide that they are going to accept you and bring you in, which is by the way that you present yourself to the community, by those accolades that you undertake, and also by your willingness and desire to help create and affect positive, healthy change in your community. I would say do that, because they are there. And that's if you know anything about the United States military, there is a facet of dog soldiers that exist within those ranks too.
Yeah.
So, and that's from people that I know that have been in the military that have been like, yeah, that's exactly what that is. You know what I'm saying? Kelly, what are you making over there? It looks like you want to make us a medallion real quick, huh? She's just all over. She's like, I got these beads set up right here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get Ron's cuffs and his
I'm
hiders.
sorting. I'm being an Indian woman. I'm double tasking here.
Good. Okay.
I'm making
you have something big coming up, Kelly, don't you? You got a big journey coming upon you.
I do. I have a trip to Minot, North Dakota, for my niece Hayden Zare's graduation from high school. So I'm going back up to our extended family, our people from the Turtle Mountain, to go see my aunt and all our relatives up there.
That's awesome. Minot's really it's a crazy place if you haven't been up there. If you know anything about the oil fields all across that part of North Dakota specifically, like if that's MHA territory, or over in Turtle Mountain, it's practically the same way. You know what I'm saying? Be prepared for an alternate view, okay? But other than that, I felt really good. I went up there. We were in Fort Berthold, which is just down the street from Minot. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, what is it? North Dakota State has a powwow up there that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. And I know Vincent Short. You guys know who Vincent is. Vincent Iron Man Short. He's an up and coming vocal talent for powwow MCing world. And the kid, he knows a whole mess of songs like that. It's like one of my nephews out here. He's a wicked awesome grass dancer. But yeah, I got a lot of love for Vincent. So he's out in that neighborhood too. So if Vincent shows up to the graduation, I know we're not gonna be mad, right, Kelly?
Right. Yep, it's going to be a big trip to go up there. I haven't been up there since one of our grandmas passed. So, and that was my dad was still alive. So it's been over maybe 10 years since I've been up to Minot. So it's definitely a culture clash too, because all our relatives up there are really light complected. And I'm like the darkest person ever. So I get the look like, who are you?
She's definitely from Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like it's very different, and everybody up there is very loving, and they hug, and like they're just so embracing, and and I just have a lot of family, so it's going to be interesting to go up there, and it'll be my first time that one of my daughters and my grandgirls get to go up there and meet their extended family. So excited to go up there and just be immersed and reminisce with my aunts who are getting up there in age and stuff. And I think it's really important nowadays that tomorrow isn't promised. we need to start traveling, not just to powwows, but to go see our relatives.
That's my plan. I got one more year and I'll be on the road permanently. I'm so looking forward to it. One more year and your man, Pastor Lou Wolf Brooks, will be on the road permanently, taking the BMB road tour. That's my plan. Hopefully, in just one more year, my daughter will be off at college this year. I'm going to be retiring next year, and I'll be hitting the wide open road, going from reservation to reservation, to powwow, getting to know more Native people face to face, doing in-person interviews. Finally get to go see Ron out there west, maybe, and spend some time with Ron and steal some of his stuff. And just I'm excited, man. You're absolutely right. I'm so looking forward to actually really living life for what it's meant for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want you to bring some of that quahog chowder that you got over there too when you get there.
I got you.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to ask the Native community, okay, real quick. I'm going to get into this because you go to Canada and sometimes they'll address fry bread as just bannock. Now I've heard bannock. Well, there's the Bannock tribe for sure. I know that, right?
Yeah.
Shoshone Bannock, right? That's Fort Hall, Idaho. Interstate 86. Okay, all right, I know. Hey, what do you call bannock? Because I've seen Navajo bread, and that some of them have called that bannock. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I've seen bread that they make over there in Kituaban territory, Cherokee peoples, that they bake underground. And then I'm gonna say it like my uncle says, asshole bread.
So our people up in Minot, they call them bangs.
Bangs, yeah.
They call them bangs. But the bannock in Fort Hall, well, Shoshone Bannock people, bannock bread is oven bread. It's not.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought. That's what I always thought. I thought you bake bannock, right? Normally in a cast iron skillet.
Yeah, you can skillet. Yep. I mean, you can. It's baked. It's in the oven, or you could stovetop it, but it's not fried. And
and it's more cakey like.
It's dense. It's like an inch, and it's just really thick.
So you need some elk or buffalo stew or some antelope. Depends on what part of the prairie or the plains you're on. You know what I mean?
Right. And if you're from the Goshute Nation, where I was brought up and raised there, they call it karate bread. Yeah, they call it karate bread, and they break it apart.
Ralph Macchio bread.
Yep, they call it karate bread. It's straight up karate bread or turtle bread. That's what they call it, karate bread. They're little ninjas out that way.
Right.
They like to fight. So I guess that's why I call it karate bread. But
like if you touch my karate bread, I'm going to use my karate on you.
You're going to get throat punched. Don't touch my karate bread.
I noticed I put my name in here and my iPad edited my name. I'm like, what in the actual hell? It's not Rocking Ron. It's Rockin' Ron. Fine. You know what? iPad, listen to me. Stop trying to correct everybody's speech. You know what I mean? Your artificial intelligence programs, bro. I'm right here, right now. I will karate bread you up.
Patrick's the one with all the gadgets. He's got the gadgets.
Oh yeah, he's got a guitar tuner over there.
I can't say I like gadgets. It's my little vice.
He's got all the apps.
My whole house is set up. Alexa and the government's probably heard every word I said. And if they are, they some bored SOBs.
Well, I ask Google all the time, and I'll continue every other day. If it's an artificially intelligent generated program like Google search, I ask, does the CIA work for you, or do you work for the CIA? And then it'll just go blank and get quiet. Or some of it and it'll just pop up the CIA website. Everybody's like, Ron's just a conspiracy buff. I'm like, yeah, so what?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if they're listening on me, they're bored. They are bored, but they know how to bead. If they're listening to me, they know how to bead because I talk my beading out. So they'll be like, this guy right here, he may not know nothing, but he knows how to bead nothing else.
That's right. Hey, I also want to let you guys know I'm working on Powwow Life Calendar. All you people out there, if you know powwow people that have high definition photographs that they want to submit for the upcoming 2024 Powwow Life Calendar, we're gonna do our best to get one out for mid-year, but mid-year is literally next month, so we're gonna see how that goes. But Powwow Life, we want to be able to showcase dancers who are doing big things in the community, who are encouraging Native youth to dance and what have you. We're also going to put sponsors on the calendar like that. If you've got a garage out there, for instance, There's the D&D garage out there in Warm Springs, Oregon. You know, you want to put your advertisement on there. You want to have your telephone number. People passing through Warm Springs Res, breaking down on Highway 26. Those guys got a tow truck. So, you know, and then there's other native businesses out there. As a matter of fact, the Wheeler family in Yakima Valley, they're humongous. There's a lot of Yakima Nation Fuels. There's a lot of people that, you know, want to get their advertisements out. But we want to make sure that we're putting those beautiful dancers on high gloss, high definition photos and sharing those. I can tell you, for me being a calendar connoisseur, I love cutting off awesome pictures from that calendar that's expired, you know, with the months. You know, you got a bunch of handwriting on it for upcoming appointments or whatever. Some people are more, oh, I'm a digital, I got it on my phone. Like, well, congratulations on that. But yes, we want to get the calendar going, and we want you to submit your most beautiful powwow pictures that you guys would like to be in the running for the Powwow Life 2024 calendar. So let us know. And we also want to say thanks everybody tonight for joining us. You know what I'm saying? We need your address. If you guys, your name was mentioned and you guys want to get that sticker sent to you, we're going to get a little miniature envelope, put your address on there and get that mailed out to you. Probably going to cost more than $1.
I just want to give another reminder, like I said earlier, the B&B podcast would like to be able to gift 2 blankets to one female, one male of graduate of 2023. So if you have someone coming up about to graduate high school and you'd like to acknowledge them, please write the B&B Indigenous podcast. Tell us why we should pick your someone to be our female or our male honoree for a brand new blanket to say thank you for your hard work. So reach out to the B&B Indigenous podcast. Do not write me directly. Do not write Ron. Do not write Kelly. Come on to the B&B Indigenous podcast here on Facebook or on here on Facebook.
We have our Gmail account as well. So B&B Indigenous podcast at gmail.com as well. You can find us on YouTube. That's where we want you to like, share, and subscribe. But yes, this is something that's happening. Yes, we want to hear your stories.
Yes. So we want to hear their names, their tribes, what they've done, how, why, and why do you feel like we should pick them as our guest of honor and our blanket winners for graduation of 2023.
That's right. So when we want to say thank you all for tuning in tonight, we got a lot of other stuff to cover. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be back again. We've got guests coming up on the 12th. Like I said, we've got a wonderful chef that's going to be a food expert of the Pacific Northwest Muckleshoot tribe. We want you guys to be excited about that. Remember, those of you that had your names mentioned, like I said, please send us via Messenger, Facebook Messenger, to the B&B Indigenous podcast. We want your address information. If you have a P.O. box, that's okay too, but we will ship directly those stickers. And we want you to, hey, stay with us. We're thankful that you guys came and joined us tonight. And we're really glad to have Kelly joining us on the show. You know, we've got more people working it out. We're going to be playing some crack-a-lackin' tunes to take us out of here. Remember, that's the B&B Indigenous podcast. And bust out your favorite breakdance moves for some Big B.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's the B&B Indigenous podcast. I'm your man, the Indigenous brother from another mother, Patrick Little Wolf Brooks, with the one and only Rockin' Ron.
Hey!
And sharpshooter down there, Miss Kelly.
That's right, looking like the Brady Bunch. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. We'll see you again.
I'm a selfish motherfucker with the gel in his head. So I take it on the booze with nothing to lose. Got me singing the blues, not the one to choose. Still I rap at him like Eve tapped at him. Such a bad apple, got game like Madden. So I think it's fun to lose at Wolf Run. So I skip all my sheens, go and play 21. Now it's on blackjack to get my money back. So my chick doesn't hate, try to double my stack. Still I go hard, and they know me at the bar. Even if I try to hard, they all know my card. Damn.
I got 3 bad habits. I'm a gambling addict. I can't hold a relationship. All I do is complain about how I got 3 bad habits. I'm a gambling addict. I I can't hold a relationship. All I do is complain about how I got 3 bad habits, as a matter of fact. The one of them's when the girl is trying to sing from my sack. Don't get attached to them, they love it when I rap to them. Talking about Nate is the name, they're getting tattooed. To fall for the beautifuls, the pretty and the lack of complex. I try to spit game of Richard Sherman in a second since I dropped my ball. I've been always trying to score, always hit it and quit it. Then I'm out that door, treat them like fast food. I'm alley cat cool, don't mean to be mean, not trying to harass you. I'm just a rap dude with the vice, I admit it, yeah.